Hello and welcome to this new video. In the previous videos, we finished implementing our lobby system and managing sessions in lobby and in match. This video will be a bonus to show you how you can control a player's character in the lobby. In a real game, you may be able to change the character's outfit and replicate this change to other players in the lobby, or let the character play an animation that other players can see. Whatever type of control to do for the character, the process is the same. I want to show you in this video an example of how to let a character of a member plays an animation and replicate it to other members of the lobby. I have already downloaded a Mixamo animation, so I want to allow the player to ask his character to dance in the lobby. If you don't know how to convert a Mixamo animation to be compatible with the Unreal Engine mannequin, then you can search on YouTube. There are plenty of tutorials. Personally, I advise you to install Mixamo Converter. It is a very practical tool and easy to use. Select your animation, then create an animation montage. Before we start, I just want to fix something I forgot to do in previous videos. It's to call the parent begin play in the lobby and World 1 game modes. If you haven't done it, follow me then. As a reminder, the begin play of the master game mode is used to launch a timer which searches for session updates. To call the begin play of the parent class, just right-click on the begin play node, then add call to parent function. To start the control process, I will add a button in the Home widget and I want to name it Dance. I want to duplicate the Ready button and I want to change its text. Make sure the default visibility of the button is set to visible. Add the on-clicked event to start coding the logic. We will ask the player controller to ask the game mode to play the animation. So go to the Master Player Controller interface and add a new function. Add an input to this function which represents the animation montage to play, therefore an input of type animontage. Add the same function in the Master Game Mode interface. Go back to the Home widget and call the Player Controller Interface function, giving it the animation montage we created. You can implement this function in the Lobby Player Controller, but I prefer to do it in the Master class because you can play an animation in any level. So in the Master Player Controller, implement the function. Call the Master Game Mode Interface function, giving it the animation montage. We must pass to this function also the player controller reference which requested to play the animation, because the game mode needs this info to identify the character of the player. So now connect the self to this input. We now want to implement this function in the game mode, though we cannot do it in the master game mode, because it is the lobby game mode which has the references of the spawned characters. So go to the game mode lobby and implement this function. First we need to check that the provided player controller has a character. We can do this by calling the find node on the spawned characters variable. Once we have the reference of the character that must play the animation, we must therefore go to its blueprint to implement the play montage logic. In the character blueprint, add a custom event that is used to play the animation. Be careful, you must set the replication of this event to multicast. Otherwise, only the host can see the animation. This event must take as input the animation montage to play. Call the play montage node, giving it the montage animation and the skeletal mesh that should play the animation. In my case, it is the skeletal mesh of the character. It will be the same process for other type of control. For example, if you want to change the material of the character, then you must update the material of the mesh in multicast. Note: a multicast event must be called by the server only. It matches in our case because the game mode is server-side only. Now go back to the game mode lobby and call the custom event of the character you just added. Back in the master player controller, we have one thing left to fix. In fact, with this implementation only the server can dance. Because we must specify in the case of client, to contact the server from a custom event that runs on the server only. So add this event. Move the implementation into this event, then call it from the interface event. Now everything is good and should work as it should. But I want to attach the player name widget to the character mesh so that it moves with it during the animation, because I chose an animation that does not play in place. It's just to make the animation prettier. Move the widget into the mesh, then parent it to the character's socket head. And as you see, the widget follows the animation of the mesh. I also want to move the cubes in the lobby level, so that they are hidden in the game. It's also just to make the scene more pleasant. I want to add an offset on the z-axis of the location of spawn transform, to avoid the mesh overlapping with the landscape. I want to run a test now to see the result. We can clearly see that the character can dance in standalone mode and that the widget follows it. I want to create a session now and join it from player 2 and 3. If player 2 clicks on dance, he will be able to see the animation, as well as the other players. This lag is due to multiple instances of the editor being open at the same time. And there you have it. This is a short example of how to control the character in a multiplayer lobby.